Hey, Wannabe Gamer here with another Top War video. Today I wanted to talk about why I don't participate in the SVS event and give you some reasons why maybe you shouldn't either, with a couple of exceptions. So I'll go over why I don't think the SVS event is worth it, and then after that I'm going to go ahead and talk about what happened with this most recent one, because the Top War community basically blew up. They were very upset, and I spent most of this morning in the Top War Discord, and oh, people are a little bit peeved. So we'll go ahead and go over that as well. But first, why isn't the SVS event worth your time? Well, to know that, we got to know what you would get for the event. So largely your points are entirely based on kills. Now there are other ways to get points, but the main thing you got to do is you got to get kills. I won't go into the nitty-gritty about the event because every single SVS that has happened, there have been significant changes between them. So it's still constantly changing. But at the moment, basically, you get most of your points for getting kills. And you can spend these in the point store. Now, if you get up to 30,000 points, you're able to get all the rewards. Now, these are battle cards, the currency that's spent in the SVS store. We'll go ahead and take a visit there in a minute. But that's what you get for these rewards, as well as some chests and material. Now, if you were to get all 30,000 of these and you were the winning team, you would get 280 of the currency, the battle cards. Now, if you lose, you get about half that. And while these rewards are kind of nice, 30,000 points can be very difficult to get, especially if you're not max level and competitive with the other players. But it is possible, but it's still difficult. And another thing is the individual awards. Now, thankfully, they did separate these, so each server has their own individual awards, but they are split just like the other one between the winning and losing team. The losing team, again, gets half of what the winning team gets. Now, these are some of the rewards you can get. First place is 5,000 of those battle cards and 5,000 gems, which is a great reward if you can manage it. But these rewards only reward the top 100 people on your server, which, depending on your server, might not be an issue. For example, my server, we only had 67 participants, so everybody was able to get a reward. But something to keep in mind that, you know, if you're not in the top 100 of your server that are at least going to participate in the event, you might not get any rewards because you'll just get kicked out too early. So these are the kinds of rewards you can get. Now, the reasons I don't think these are worth it is what you have to spend to be competitive in the event. To really be competitive in SVS, you're going to need to use a lot of speed ups. Even if you're on defense, you'll use a lot of speed ups to get to the ruins to kick out the enemies quicker. And you'll probably use a lot of moves. Now, speed ups are going to cost you either 37 or 75 gems, depending on how you get them. And moves are going to cost you 75 to 150 gems, depending on how you get them. Now, 3 SVS events ago, I believe it was, is when Deliar came out. I participated in that one and got first place, so I was able to get the 5,000 battle cards because I really wanted that hero. But like I said, you do get 5,000 gems for getting first place, but that's about how many gems I spent on speed ups and moves to be able to be competitive to get that first place. So the gem rewards that you get are kind of irrelevant. Sometimes doesn't even cover the cost of what you spent to get there, just based on how expensive speed ups and moves are to be able to be jumping around the enemy's map or your own map to defend or attack. So the gem isn't really great. And then the points, you know, like I said, first place is very difficult to get. Most people, of course, are going to be in the, below 10th place. 11 to 15 is 800 of these battle cards. And now that's great. 800 is not bad, but is it worth the amount of gems that you spent? Let's go ahead and look at the SVS store. So let's say you won, you got 10th place. So you get 800 of those battle cards. You've gotten the 30,000 points to get all the things from the point store. You got 280 there. So you have 1,080 points if you're in 10th place and the winning team. If we look at the SVS store, there's quite a bit of stuff you can buy. But the amount of units and gems that you spend, possibly more gems than you had, is it worth it? Based on the repairs and the lost units. And you got to consider, are you going to have enough units to be able to participate in the events for the following week? And are you going to be recovered by the time the next Odinium event comes by? So for us max levels, this is something that can be a little extra hard, because as max level, generally you're making Valhalla units. Valhalla units are very expensive and time-consuming to make, so we're generally very protective of them. If I lose these during my SVS event, it's going to take me a long time to recover. The SVS where I participated to get Deliar, I still hadn't recovered fully by the time the next SVS came around as far as my Valhalla units, because I just didn't want to rush them with gems. One Valhalla unit takes 8 hours to produce and 240 gems to rush it if you don't want to wait that long. And you can only produce, technically, 3 at a time. but one Army, one Navy, one Air Force. That's the most you can do at any one time. So recovering from that great a loss is very difficult. So if you're not the strongest person between the two servers, it's something that you have to take into consideration. And hopefully you had enough time to review some of the prices of the Financial Center and the SVS store here. But if you got 10th place on the winning team, is it worth the amount of troops that you lost and the gems you spent? I mean, that is up to you to make that decision. My recommendation is if you're not max level, go ahead and participate because you'll generally get your troops back very quick. You can just build more barracks or build more Navy yards to train troops faster. Or if you don't have Deliar yet, Deliar is a very good hero that I highly recommend getting. But if you're not falling into one of those two categories, I would recommend sitting out of the SVS store or SVS event. It just doesn't seem worth the time, the effort to spend on the event. But not only that, not only the numbers that I'm going through right now, but also the last at least 3 SVS events have been a little bit funky, so I wanted to go over that. So the event where I participated to get Deliar, which was about 4 weeks ago from the time this video will come out, it was very laggy. There was a couple of fights where I may have lost some more troops than probably should have because I wasn't able to react in time due to the lag, but it wasn't awful. I did hear some people having some worse experiences than I did, but it wasn't something that totally stuck out to me. But like I said, I lost a lot of Valhalla units and I hadn't completely recovered by the time the next SVS event came around, which was about 2 weeks ago from the time this comes out. So I decided to sit that one out, and I'm very happy I did because when I sat it out, I still watched. I was online when it happened, but there was a lot of lag, game crashes. You would look at the map and all you would see is the background. There was no bases, there was no resources, there was nothing. Sometimes your screen would go black for 3 to 5 seconds. Sometimes you had to restart your game. It was awful. And I heard people complaining in their Discord, in the Top Wars Discord, that they lost, hundreds of Valhalla units because of the issues with the game. There was issues where people weren't able to teleport. It would say location error. And they ended up sending out this compensation package, which, as someone who didn't participate, was great to get. But I really sympathize with the people who were participating because this doesn't cover even a little bit if you lost hundreds of Valhalla units. The 50k Odinium was great, but the amount of time that it takes to train those things again, that's nothing. I mean, with what you have here, the gems that you get, you'd be able to rush 4 Valhalla units, which means you're back to training them at 8 hours per unit. And it just wasn't worth it, and a lot of people were upset. Well, this last event, which was 2 days ago at the time that this will come out, this most recent SVS event, people were even more upset because not only did they still have those issues, they seemed to be worse, and they gave a smaller compensation package. So they gave 10 less plus 2 unit tickets as well as 20k less Odinium as a compensation for the issues, but everybody was complaining that they were way worse, and I was online as well to watch. Like I said, I didn't participate in this one either. It was awful. You tried scouting people. Like, that was one of the things I tried to do, call outs. I tried to scout people so I could help the people who were participating, and the scout reports just wouldn't show, or it would say unavailable at this time. The game would crash. You couldn't see anything. I've seen screenshots of people showing two of their own bases at a time, so they had no idea where their base was, or a lot of people who said they couldn't see their base at all. It was awful. Both sides were complaining about it, and I went ahead and spent most of this morning at the time of the filming to look in the Discord, look in Top Wars Discord, and everybody was just majorly hot-headed. Just everybody was ticked off at Top War. The mods had their hands full, and to make things worse, and this is something that leaves a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth with Top War, not only did the mods get a little bit snarky with the people in the Discord, but also they started deleting things that didn't need to be deleted. Now, there are rules in the Discord that you got to follow. You can't, post unrelated content. You can't post GIFs in there, especially, like the general chat and stuff like that. So they were deleting things like that. But they were also deleting things that didn't seem to break the rules. It didn't have any swearing, and it would be people that are saying, I'm going to get a refund. I recommend other people get refunds, or I'm not going to play the game anymore, or just other criticisms towards Top War that it didn't have any swearing, it didn't have any calls to action, or it didn't have any calls to violence. It had a call to action in the way that people were encouraging people to get refunds, but there was no calls to violence. There was no swearing. It didn't break any rules, but the mods were still deleting a ton of messages. And then they activated slow mode, so you can only send one message every 5 minutes in some of the channels. which upset people even more. The mods' argument for this was they weren't able to keep up with all the chat, so they had to do it so they could, properly moderate all the messages, which, if that was the only thing they did, would be fair. But like I said, they were deleting comments that didn't need to be deleted, and they also took away the ability to react to other people's comments. So you couldn't like or dislike their comments because they took that feature completely away, and they never gave any explanation for it. Myself, as well as several other people, kept repeatedly asking them, why did you take away the ability to respond, to react to things? And they never gave us an answer. And finally, they just turned it back on with no explanation as to why they took it back off. And it seems that they turned it back on because so many people were like, why did you do this? It's not violating the rules, but you took away our ability to react. If I were to speculate, this is just my opinion, it's probably because anytime the mods were saying someone was breaking the rules when they weren't, a lot of people would just constantly dislike their comments and put a bunch of reactions on there that were negative, and they were just tired of dealing with it. So these are the reasons why I don't want to participate in the SVS event, and as well as why I'm a little bit upset with Top War at the moment, as well as why the community is, understandably so. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know how your SVS went. Did you have some of these issues? I know I heard in the Top War Discord, I'm not able to confirm this because I didn't see it myself, but a lot of people in the Top War Discord said any of the Top War servers that were based in China had none of these issues. And, people were really upset about that because it seems like they're having a favoritism towards the servers that are based in China, which a lot of people are already upset about because they do get cheaper prices comparatively to the rest of the world. They don't have these lag issues. Now, understandably, the game is developed in China, but if you're going to put your game out to the whole world, you need to treat everybody fair. You need to treat everybody equally. Let me know what you guys think below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, hopefully, regardless of this SVS, have a fantastic day.